Welcome back, everybody. Ready to dive into something really mind-blowing?
I think so.
We're talking Alphafold. And trust me, this AI is shaking up the world of science big time.
It really is. To kind of set the stage, those essential building blocks of life called proteins,
Yeah.
well, they're involved in nearly every biological process we can think of. And their function, it's all tied to their 3D structure.
So, like, their shape is their superpower. It determines what they can actually do.
That's a great way to put it. And for decades, scientists have been working so hard to try and figure out these structures.
It hasn't been easy, has it?
It hasn't. Traditional methods were like, navigating a maze blindfolded. Slow, expensive, and a lot of times hit or miss.
That's where Alphafold swoops in, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a superhero with X-ray vision.
Exactly. It's an AI system developed by DeepMind, and it's completely changing the game. Alphafold uses what we call deep learning to predict a protein's 3D structure just from its amino acid sequence. It's like having this molecular origami master that can just fold proteins in the blink of an eye.
Incredible. And the science world's obviously taking notice, right?
Absolutely. Its developers were just awarded the 2024 Nobel Prize in Chemistry.
Wow. A Nobel Prize.
Oh.
That's huge. Okay, so how does this molecular origami master work? Break it down for us.
Okay, so imagine you have this long chain of beads, right?
Okay.
And each bead represents an amino acid. So Alphafold takes this chain, analyzes it, and figures out how it folds and twists to create a unique 3D shape.
Gotcha.
It does this by learning from just massive amounts of data about known protein structures.
So it's like Alphafold has studied this giant library of protein blueprints and learned all the rules of protein folding.
Exactly. It uses this knowledge to then predict the structure of new proteins with remarkable accuracy.
Okay, I think I get the idea, but I need a real-world example to wrap my head around it. Can we, dive into a specific protein and see how Alphafold would actually tackle it?
Sure. Let's take insulin.
Okay.
It's crucial for regulating blood sugar levels. It's been well studied, so it makes a perfect example to illustrate what Alphafold can do.
Okay, so we give Alphafold the amino acid sequence of insulin. It's basically a string of letters, each one representing a different amino acid, right?
Right. Alphafold takes that string and gets to work. First, it scours these massive databases looking for similar sequences and evolutionary relationships. Think of it like a detective searching for clues in a family photo album to predict what a new family member might look like.
So it's using evolutionary history as one piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. Then Alphafold taps into its deep learning expertise to predict distances and angles between those amino acids in insulin.
Okay.
Like putting together a 3D jigsaw puzzle, but with atoms.
Oh, wow. Okay, so Alphafold is piecing together this 3D structure of insulin. But how do we know if it's getting it right?
That's where it gets even more impressive.
Yeah.
Alphafold doesn't just give you a structure, it provides what we call a confidence score
Okay.
for each part of that prediction. It's like saying, hey, I'm 99% sure about this part of the structure, but only 70% sure about that part.
That's incredibly helpful. So scientists using Alphafold aren't just getting an answer. They're getting a measure of how reliable that answer is.
You got it. And that's so crucial, especially when we're talking about something as important as, drug discovery.
So Alphafold isn't just like a black box spitting out structures.
Oh.
It's giving scientists this detailed roadmap with a built-in reliability meter.
That's amazing. But how did it get so good at this? Didn't they have earlier versions?
You're right. Alphafold actually went through two major phases.
Yeah.
First, there was Alphafold 1, released in 2018. It relied heavily on those evolutionary relationships we were talking about.
So like a detective who needs a lot of family photos to make a good prediction.
Yeah, exactly. But then came Alphafold 2 in 2020, and this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Alphafold 2 uses what we call end-to-end deep learning.
End-to-end deep learning. That sounds powerful. What does that mean for how Alphafold works? It means Alphafold 2 can go directly from that amino acid sequence to the 3D structure without needing as many evolutionary clues. It basically went to detective school
And leveled up its skill.
became a master of deduction.
Nice. But how? Did we get access to some, top secret database or something?
Not exactly secret, but Alphafold 2 did incorporate something revolutionary, attention-based neural networks.
Okay, I'll admit that sounds a little intimidating. Break that down for me.
Okay, it's like when you're reading a good mystery novel, right? You pay attention to the clues.
Yeah.
You focus on the details that seem most important. Alphafold 2 does that with amino acid sequences.
Ah.
It learns to focus on the parts of the sequence that are most important for determining that final 3D structure.
So it's like Alphafold 2 is reading the protein's story, highlighting the key plot points,
Yeah.
understanding how it all connects.
Precisely. And to make sure it's not getting lost in the plot, Alphafold 2 also has this special module called the structure module.
A structure module, what's that do?
Okay, so it's like a built-in editor. It refines that predicted 3D structure.
Okay.
Make sure the structure is stable, makes sense biologically. Like Alphafold 2 is constantly double-checking its work.
That's really impressive. So AlphaFold 2 isn't just predicting a structure, it's carefully crafting it,
Yeah.
ensuring it's realistic and stable.
It is, and this approach, along with its deep learning, is a big part of why AlphaFold 2 is so accurate. It's revolutionizing how we understand proteins and their role in biology.
This is fascinating. I'm already seeing how this could have a massive impact on so many areas of science. But before we get into that, I'm curious about this Nobel Prize connection. It's not every day an AI gets recognized with such a prestigious award.
You're absolutely right. It just shows how transformative AlphaFold is and the potential it has for scientific discovery. But it's important to remember that the prize wasn't just for AlphaFold itself.
No.
It was shared with another scientist, David Baker, from the University of Washington.
For his work in.
His pioneering work in something called computational protein design.
So it's recognizing both the power of AI and the brilliance of human scientists pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Yeah, it's a great example of how these two worlds can come together to create something amazing.
Mind-blowing. I feel like we've only scratched the surface here. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.
It was my pleasure. I always enjoy diving into these topics with you.
And a huge thank you to all our listeners for joining us. We hope you found it inspiring and thought-provoking.
And don't forget, a new deep dive is waiting for you tomorrow evening.
We'll be exploring another cutting-edge topic that's sure to spark your curiosity. Until then, stay curious and keep exploring.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.